Marcus Delaney had not smiled in 14 months. Not a real smile anyway. The kind that starts in your chest before it reaches your face. Since losing his wife Claire to a sudden cardiac event in December of the previous year, Marcus had been running on autopilot. Waking up every morning at 6, packing his 7-year-old daughter Lily's lunch, dropping her at school, working remotely as a data analyst from their small house on Birchwood Lane, and then picking Lily up, making dinner, and collapsing into bed. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also, tell us in the comments where in the world are you watching from. That was his life now, a loop. A quiet, grey, exhausting loop. The neighbours on Birchwood Lane were kind people, but they had their own lives. And Marcus had slowly built invisible walls around himself, politely refusing dinner invitations and community barbecues, always with the same excuse, Lily and I have plans. They never had plans. He just did not know how to sit among happy people, without feeling like a stranger in a world he no longer fully belonged to. Everything changed the morning a moving truck pulled up next door. Marcus was standing at his kitchen window with a cup of coffee, watching the movers carry in furniture when he noticed her. She was around 30 years old, with dark brown hair pulled into a messy bun, wearing paint-stained overalls and laughing at something one of the movers said. Her laugh was loud and unself-conscious, the kind of laugh that fills a whole street. Marcus found himself watching longer than he intended. There was something about her energy, the way she moved around the chaos of boxes with total ease, pointing here and there, picking up a potted plant and cradling it like it was something precious. He did not realize how long he had been standing there until she looked up, straight at his window, and caught his eye. His stomach dropped. He stepped back instinctively, spilling coffee on his shirt. Feeling like a complete fool, he spent the rest of the morning avoiding the window. That afternoon, when he walked out to get the mail, he heard her voice behind him. "Hey, neighbor!" He turned around. She was standing at the edge of her porch, holding 2 glasses of lemonade, and she was grinning in a way that made him feel both embarrassed and oddly warm at the same time. "I'm Nadia," she said, walking toward him and extending one of the glasses. "Nadia Reyes, I just moved in." He accepted the glass, unsure what else to do. "Marcus," he said. "Marcus Delaney." She tilted her head and smiled. "You were watching from the window earlier." He opened his mouth to apologize, but she held up a hand, still smiling. No, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, if you want to look, just ask. I would have waved you over. Moving is always better with company." He did not know what to say to that. He had expected awkwardness or offense, and instead he got an invitation. He stood there on the sidewalk holding lemonade, completely frozen. Nadia did not seem to notice his silence, or perhaps she simply did not mind it. She sat down on her porch steps and looked around the quiet street. "I like this neighborhood," she said. "It feels like people actually live here, you know? Not just exist." Marcus sat down beside her, not entirely sure why, but somehow it felt like the right thing to do. "How long have you been here?" she asked. "About 4 years," he said. "With my daughter Lily, she's 7. Nadia's face lit up. "You have a daughter? That's wonderful. Is it just the 2 of you?" He paused, and she must have sensed something in that pause, because she did not push. She just nodded softly and looked away, giving him space. He found himself talking anyway. "Her mom passed away last year," he said quietly. "It's been hard." Nadia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I'm sorry, Marcus, genuinely." There was no performance in her words. No oversympathetic head tilt. Just honesty. "My mom passed away 2 years ago," she added. "That kind of loss rewires you. It takes a long time before things feel okay again. And that's okay." Something loosened in Marcus's chest. He could not explain it. He had heard kind words before, from friends, from family, from co-workers. But there was something about the way Nadia said it, simply and without trying to fix anything, that reached him in a place he had kept locked for 14 months. They talked for almost an hour. He learned that Nadia was a freelance graphic designer who had moved from Chicago. After a life change she described only as a long story for another day. She loved plants, old movies, and making elaborate Sunday breakfasts that she usually ended up eating alone. She was funny. She was real. She was exactly the kind of person he had forgotten existed. When Lily came home from school that afternoon, she spotted Nadia on the porch immediately. "Is that our new neighbor?" she asked, tugging Marcus's sleeve. "Yes," he said. Lily, who had inherited none of her father's shyness, marched straight over and said, "Hi, I'm Lily. Do you have kids?" Nadia laughed, her full, unself-conscious laugh. "No, but I have a very spoiled cat named Biscuit." Lily's eyes went wide. "Can I meet Biscuit?" That evening, the three of them sat on Nadia's porch. Lily holding Biscuit with great seriousness, Marcus sipping more lemonade, and Nadia telling stories about her life in Chicago that made both of them laugh. Marcus noticed, somewhere between the second story and the third, that he was smiling. A real smile. The kind that starts in your chest. He did not say anything about it. He just let it happen. In the weeks that followed, things shifted on Birchwood Lane. Lily began stopping by Nadia's house after school to visit Biscuit. Nadia began leaving extra portions of her Sunday. Breakfasts on Marcus's doorstep with little handwritten notes. Marcus started waking up not just to an alarm and a routine, but to something quieter and harder to name. A sense that the day might hold something worth noticing. He was not healed. He knew that. Grief does not work that way. Claire would always be a part of him, and the absence of her would always leave a shape in his life. But for the first time in 14 months, the shape did not feel like only emptiness. It felt like space. Space where new things could grow, slowly and without pressure. One Sunday morning, Marcus knocked on Nadia's door and said, "You always make breakfast for yourself. Today, let me make it for both of us." She raised an eyebrow. He shrugged. "You said if I want something, I should just ask." She smiled and stepped aside to let him in. Sometimes healing does not arrive as a grand moment. Sometimes it arrives as a neighbor with lemonade, an open porch and a cat named Biscuit. Sometimes all it takes is one person who makes you feel like it is okay to look up from your grief and notice the world again. And sometimes, if you are very lucky, that person moves in right next door. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel Kindness True Stories, where we bring you real, emotional, and inspiring stories about the power of human connection, compassion, and second chances. Your support helps us keep sharing stories that remind the world how beautiful kindness can be. Thank you for being part of this community.